Good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman. With me today, as always, is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, and we're a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 341. We're a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorlist_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. You can write the show at psisawesome@gmail.com. Most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Be sure to leave comments, rate the podcast as you see fit. And that was my phone making noise. I apologize. As a reminder, we're a video podcast as well. You can watch our show if you prefer on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to that. If you're new or if you're a long-time listener, we have a Patreon where you can support our show for $1. The tier is called the One and Only $1 Club. Go to patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome. You can become a $1 patron and get a free die cut vinyl sticker in the mail and a shout out on the show. And Ryan, I got yours sent out to you, and it is on its way to Australia. Surprisingly, not as expensive as I thought it was going to be. It was like $1.60 something. That's crazy to me. They make international stamps apparently for just letters. So hopefully it finds its way to your abode. But with that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing today?
Dude, I am so fucking tired. So I've basically been running nonstop for like 2 weeks, but...
What do you mean running? Like physically running or just busy?
No, just like busy. Like I took... So Thursday... I mean, I did a bunch of shit last week too, but like Thursday, I worked and then went to Erie and played in a tournament, hockey tournament, got home late, then got up early Friday morning, ran errands and worked on the house all day. Saturday, ran errands, worked on the house all day. Sunday, Brad and I went on a motorcycle trip that was all day long out in the Allegheny Forest.
That sounds amazing.
Yesterday had family shit. I say yesterday. Monday, we had family shit almost all day. God, I don't even... Oh, yesterday, I went to work, then had to run home, then ran to Pittsburgh for a concert, didn't get home until 12:30 in the morning. Then I had to get up and be at work early for a meeting this morning. And then at noon, if people don't live around here, they won't know what this means, but you'll know what this means. So my work is in the Sandy Lake area.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go... So I went to work in the morning early for a meeting. Then at noon, I left... drove to Hermitage, then drove to Ohio on the other side of Sharon, then back to Hermitage, then back to Sandy Lake, then to Greenville, then to Sagertown, and then came home. That's been my day today after being fucking out until almost 1 o'clock in the morning last night and having to be at work early today. So I am...
What was last night again? Why were you out that late?
So I went to Pittsburgh to see Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie together.
Oh, yeah.
It was fucking awesome. Dude, I mean, I've seen Alice Cooper.
Did you go by yourself again? Last time you went by yourself.
Yeah. I asked her if she wanted to go, but she didn't really have much interest. So I actually kind of like going to concerts by myself. Yeah. It's fun going with friends too, but I like kind of the freedom to do what you want on your own. The seating gets a little bit funny because you buy one seat. But what was cool was I was like the third seat in on this row. I like trying to get this. If I go to a concert with seating, I like to try to be on the end of the row, like in the aisle, so I can just get up and leave and come back whenever I want, and I don't have to crawl over people or do. Because I always leave. So I always, unless I'm like super into somebody, I always leave like before the last song is over.
Yeah.
So that I can get in my car and get out and not have to worry about traffic and everything, especially when I have to work the next day.
Which sucks because usually the last song is the most famous song.
Right. So, and this was at the pavilion at Star Lake in Pittsburgh, which I'm sure you've been there before, but that place fucking sucks to get in and out of. Like it's like this 2-lane road, and everybody is funneling into this like cattle chute to get into the place. There's one entrance and exit to it, and to get out is like you could sit there for like an hour if you hit it at the wrong time, just trying to get out of there. And then it's a almost 2-hour drive to get home from there. So I left with like a song and a half left in Rob Zombie's set, and just so I could get to my car and get out on the road, and so I wouldn't, I would limit the damage as far as when I got home.
Yeah.
But so Alice Cooper I've seen a bunch of times, and he's got an amazing band, and he's also great as well. But they were amazing as always. But dude, I've never seen Rob Zombie in concert before, and that was fucking wild. He puts on an awesome show. That dude is like in his 60s, and he's up there just like jumping around on stage, and he's still, having like that singing voice probably lends itself to aging because your voice gets lower as you age and stuff. Mm-hmm. But he still sounds as awesome as he did in like the freaking Dracula era and shit like that. Yeah. And he had just this huge like stage sets. Like the drummer had this riser that would raise like 20 feet in the air while he was playing, and like it was awesome. I'm not even like the biggest Rob Zombie fan. I was more there for Alice Cooper, but I was like, fuck, I want to kind of see this because I've heard that his live show is really good, and it was a lot of fun. But I was on this, so I was mentioning before, I like to be on the end of the aisle, but I could only get a seat that was 3 in from the end. And when I got there, I sat down, and there was nobody in the seats towards the aisle for me, so I kind of split the difference, and I told the guys that were like next to the seat that I had reserved, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm in that seat beside you, but I'm just going to hang out over here until these people show up, and then I might have to crowd in beside you. And the lady, they must have like season tickets of some kind or something, but she was like, oh, they never sell those 2 seats, so you'll have those 3 seats to yourself all night. And I was like, so that's fucking rad. You get like to stretch out, and you have like your own space there. Yeah, that's it's kind of like being on because sometimes those seats can be crammed like you're on an airplane or something. So it's nice to have a little room to stretch out. And so like that was kind of awesome. And I was like maybe 15 rows from the stage, so I was pretty close. And it was the thing about these bands, and it's not necessarily these old rockers, but like, dude, people tailgate fucking hard at these shows. And it was probably right at the end of Alice Cooper's set, maybe 3/4 of the way through, because he played and then Rob Zombie played after him. These 3 guys that were 3 seats in front of me showed up, and the one dude, I literally was having trouble standing. Like, he was literally, like, rocking around, bumping into the people in front of him, like, could barely stand up. And finally he sat down in the chair because he was having trouble standing. The one guy stayed in the aisle and was just kind of standing and watching, which wasn't a big deal because everyone was kind of standing up. But the third guy literally sat down in the chair in front of me, promptly fell asleep, and slept until there was like 3 songs left in Rob Zombie's set. Like, literally just sat there with his head down and fucking slept through the whole show. I'm like, and dude, I see this all the time at concerts like this. It's like, how much, like, I know what I paid for those seats, and you guys just fucking wasted this. Now, maybe that's what they like about it. They have fun doing that kind of thing, but it's like, dude, you're missing the whole experience by just getting blitzkrieged, and just you don't even know what's going on, and the show's happening. It's like, you remember when we went to the Trio show this spring? Oh, yeah. Before the show even started, they were like hauling this dude out because he was so fucking wasted.
Yeah, the EMTs were in there and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, he might have been on something else, and I don't, want to speculate on that or whatever. But it's just like
an actual health problem. Who knows?
But even if that particular case was a unique case. Dude, you see it all the time at these shows. These people just getting fucking wrecked and coming inside and just either starting shit and having to get hauled away, or they're throwing up, or they're just like kind of unpleasant to be around. And but after those guys literally sat down and basically fell asleep, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I was totally fine with it after that because they weren't in my way. But before that, like, I just kept watching this guy that could barely stand up, and he was distracting me from the show because I was like, is he gonna like fall on these people in front of him and like start a fight? And then,
right?
Yeah, and so like it is what it is. But that said, other than the fact that the beers were $18, it was a fun time. And I always, when I go to these events, dude, it pays like to pay the $20 or whatever it is for premium parking at these events. Like, I don't know if you ever do this, but like,
I don't go to many concerts.
Man, especially at a place like that, like, you've been there before, right? The pavilion, the Starlight Pavilion
I'm sure I have.
At Burgettstown or whatever.
I'm sure.
It used to be called like the Live Nation Amphitheater, and then it was called
Starlight.
Like something way back when. Yeah, it used to be called, I don't know. But it's like a pavilion, and then there's just like a field of parking in a horseshoe around the whole thing, and it connects to this one little cattle chute to get out. And when I got there, it was packed to get in, but like the actual road into the amphitheater was completely free and clear because all the parking up in there was already closed. So they were turning people off before they even got into the main area to park. And I was like, hey, I have premium parking. And they waved me through it. And it was like I was just by myself driving up. And I parked, I kid you not, like 20 feet from the gate. And it was $20 for this parking. It's not like I paid $1 million for it or anything. But anyway, little concert tip. If you're going to these big concerts and they're like, I think that they said that there was like 13 or 14,000 people there.
Yeah. Which
is a pretty good sized show. You can imagine how many cars and stuff there were there. But I had a good time. And yeah, I'm just a little bit tired. I know you had a pretty busy weekend too. You were over and you were playing a bunch of shows this weekend, weren't you?
I was everywhere, man. My holiday week, I hope the audience had a nice holiday week. It was Labor Day weekend. We're recording this on Wednesday. We're a little bit late on this podcast, but we're gonna get it out tonight, Wednesday, by the end of the evening, hopefully. It's just gonna take a while to compile, but my computer's been kind of slow. So, but yeah, a couple quick things. Bring listeners up to speed. One Up by Land had a run. We played Akron at a place called the Cling Thing on Friday. We, Jim, our drummer, and myself drove about an hour and a half out by a place called Medina, Medina, Ohio. Got a shitty hotel room, stayed there that night, and then we drove him to Toledo the next morning, and we played a place called the Ottawa Tavern, which is like probably one of the better places to play, honestly. Bane's playing there, and it's sold out in a couple months or something, which is cool. It's a good spot. And then Sunday, I raced home. Saturday, I caught a ride with Troy back to Meadville, and Toledo's about a 4-hour drive from Meadville to Toledo. So we left Toledo at like 10, got home at like 1:30 in the morning, and that was Saturday night. And then Sunday I had a 1:00 gig solo in Westfield, New York, which is like an hour and a half. So I had to load my PA up, and then I had to go play Westfield from like 1 to 4 o'clock. And then I got home by like 7:30 Sunday night. And then because my dad and I are in that golf league, I had to drop out because of my new job. Well, as it turns out, we're one of the top 8 teams, so we're in the tournament. And you just ad hoc the tournament sessions. So we arranged to play our first competition on Monday, which is the day after my fucking New York show. I was just fucking exhausted. And I was able to play because I had Monday off of work because of the holiday. We won. So now we advance. So now there's 4 teams left. And we have to play a team this upcoming weekend or something. Dude, I'll say this. The Akron show was inspiring. The Kling thing turned out to be a house, a punk house. And they have a basement where they hold concerts, but they also just had, imagine, you know how loud One Off My Land is. Imagine us playing on somebody's back porch at 10:30 at night in a residential area at full volume. There were like 75 people in this backyard. And it's just wild. This punk house has been going. Somebody told me this punk house has been going for like over 10 years. And they actually had a GoFundMe recently because the landlord was just like, because the crime and everything is so bad in this neighborhood. The cops don't give a fuck what happens. As long as you're not murdering somebody or like dealing drugs, they don't give a shit if you're making noise. So these kids get together and they have these fucking blowout parties with live bands. And they don't post the address on any of the flyers. It's just like, if you know, you know. And like the kids are younger. They were like 16 to probably like 25.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they were all into the fucking, they're the kind of hardcore scene and stuff, but it's like they'd never been exposed to like Pennsylvania punk rock. Like we played and like they just weren't sure what to do. And at one point I was like, yo, why don't you guys just step, they were all kind of pushed off to the side, like kind of looking, like not bobbing their head and like looking like, what the fuck's going on? Like, who are these guys? And I was like, get the fuck over here. Like, no one's going to get punched or hurt during our set. Like, we're not a hardcore band. Get over here and listen. We drove our asses out here to play for you guys. And this one kid was like, do you want me to fucking elbow some people? And I was like, no, you're good. Just fucking get over here. He's like, because I will. I can get a pit start. I was like, no, we're good. Just fucking get over here and listen. And we played in the... where I was going with this is the landlord was going to sell the house. And then these kids put together a GoFundMe to raise some money to put a down payment on it. And they're doing a rent to own from the landlord. And anytime whoever's renting it lets it go, they just make sure they let it go to someone in the scene. And that the banner just keeps getting carried. And they have these fucking shows there. But the guy was just like, yo, he was like, you're like one of the best bands that's ever played the Kling thing. You need to come back. This was really cool. And I was like, all right, yeah, we'll come back. So that was a really cool, inspiring evening, just because like our scene here in I don't want to say Pennsylvania, but the Northwest PA fucking scene is dead. Like this shit just doesn't happen up here, and we have a hard time finding people that give a shit about what we do in this area. I mean, we're a great band. We put a lot of time and effort into it, but the shows here are just, they're lackluster, man. Like when we play out, like we got to really build hype to get anybody to fucking walk their ass out to come see us, which is crazy. It's a location thing. So anyways, Saturday we played, what's cool is first stop, Jim and I got food at this breakfast place. It's a chain place called First Watch. The hotel we got was shitty that night. Like there was literally a centipede on the ceiling above my head when I was like laying down. I'm like, fuck, Jim. Like what? And the hotel was like $130. Like it wasn't like a $200 hotel room, but it also wasn't $60. It was like 120 some bucks. You figured like it would have been a little nicer. There were like stains in the shower and shit. Like it was fucking nasty. It wasn't like it was like a Days Inn, or I don't know what it was. It might have been something else. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Slept like shit. Woke up. We got breakfast, and then I always like to pick up something when I do like something memorable like this. So there was a Target nearby. I just went in and got myself a dress shirt from Target, just so I could say I got this on the road. I try to pick up something useful when I'm on these trips, but we don't take them as often as we once did. But then we went to Toledo and went to this record store called Culture Clash Records. And we went in the morning and checked it out. I chatted up the two dudes who were working there, and they said, I was like, yo, number one, where do we eat in Toledo? We're a band. What's the fucking place to go to? And then number two, how do we kill some fucking time? And they said, go to Ye Old Dirty Duck. That is the place to go get food. It's like a bar. Like the menu's actually kind of big, but don't let it scare you. All the food's good on it. All right, cool. And then they were like, have you been to the Toledo Art Museum? And I said, no. And they're like, it's free. It's on campus. You need to go. They have a Van Gogh there. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah, it's free. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, fuck, we're going to go. So we drove to the Toledo Art Museum. Went there. Dude, these Renaissance paintings and shit are incredible in real life. Like, I'm not one to be taken by art like that, like visual art, but like, you know, when you see pictures of them in textbooks or historical books and stuff, like, you don't realize how fucking big the canvases can be. And like, I've never been to a bona fide museum like this. So, I mean, they give you a map and they're just like, yeah, check it out. And I'm with Jim, and Jim's a little loose around, you know, he's a little, I don't know. He's just a little loosey-goosey with rules. And I'm like, Jim, just fucking stay 2 feet away from things. Don't fucking touch anything. You can do photography, just not flash photography. Like, you got to respect this shit. And we're the first room we go into, there's like, there's like pottery and shit from like old Chinese dynasties and stuff. Just, it's like from the year like 1200 or something crazy. And it's just there. It's got glass encasing around it. And you're like, what the fuck? This was one of the coolest museums I'd ever been to. And I can't believe that it was free. They had so much awesome shit. I didn't want to leave. Jim was getting hungry. I could have spent fucking 6 hours there and just looked at everything. They had some of the most incredible pieces of art, and then they had these old vintage like cabinets that were made out of like tortoise shells and stuff from like way back, way the fuck back. They had old they had like an old Quran from like fucking 800 or something, just like there, and like you could tell the pages were so frail. And like they're like, yeah, you know, this was donated to the museum, and this such and such date it was found wherever in the dirt. You know, it was you know, all this stuff they had there was just so. I don't know, man. I was quite taken by all the history there. It was pretty interesting, and that's what I miss about touring. You know, not so much the concerts, but just like checking out a city. And then we went.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, just on the art museum thing, I'm not really like that big into art either. But I went to the Cleveland Art Museum with Sarah and her family, and that museum is like really big. I don't know if you've ever been there before, but it's super nice. Like, they have everything from paintings to sculptures to medieval armor to stuff from the Revolutionary War and like all this shit. And like you were saying, like, I've never really thought twice about paintings, but there was this one painting, I think it was a John Singer Sargent painting of this woman, and it was literally like a 6 foot tall painting. And for whatever reason, I just connected with it. Like, people make these comments about, you know, going and connecting with art and all this stuff, and it all sounds like pretentious bullshit. And I think a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But there is something about, like, when you realize, when you're looking at something and it's how flawless it is, and you realize that somebody actually did that with their hands, and you're looking at the actual thing that they touched and that they did. And that, I think that is what does it for me more than anything. And like, and it's not all paintings. Like, I don't really have
sculptures,
you know,
glasswork. Yeah.
Yes, sculptures are interesting to me just in how they can get the detail in them.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when you think about like modern art and stuff, like, that doesn't do it for me. Like, there's nothing. But if you talk about a painting of like a person, and just how the way that they do the skin is so perfect that you can't even see the brush strokes and all the shit, and it looks like it's 3D almost. Like
it looks like a photograph. Some of the stuff I saw.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of chime in and
sent
talk
you
about how
picture, a couple pictures of your phone. I don't know if you have your phone on you. The scale of one of the main showrooms, the room was just fucking enormous. And it had to be with the size of these paintings. They're just huge, and they're always framed in such a rad way. And like there was just so much ancient shit there. Just incredible shit, man.
What the fuck is this big blue circle thing?
That's actually more modern. It was from like the late 1800s, but like.
But is it a painting or
porcelain?
Is it like
it's like some sort of ceramic that's hand painted.
Oh, okay.
But
it's wild looking.
Yeah, it was huge.
And I see that Jim standing in front of it.
Jim's a big dude, like tall, but like I mean you see that skull in it. It looks so rad. It's just that
desk is really rad too that you sent me a picture of.
Yeah.
The cabinet.
They had a sarcophagus there from like old Egyptian times. It was just, dude, it was just so wild to be around all that shit.
Fucking Jim's face.
Yeah, he's out of control.
In this boat picture, his face, he's like he's lost.
Yeah. He got yelled at once.
Maybe he is lost at the freaking art museum. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
he did get yelled at. He leaned too close to something, and out of nowhere, we just heard a voice like, "Sir, stand back." We're like, what? We're like looking around, and like there's just security cameras everywhere, and they're just monitoring all this shit, nonstop, I'm sure. And he goes, "Were they talking to me?"
Sure.
I was like, "Yeah, dude, you're way too fucking close." It says right on these art pieces, if you get too close, even without touching them, you'll trigger an alarm. And he's just like leaning in, like fucking like, whoa. Like,
I'm sure even breathing on him, you might be able to fuck him up. So,
yeah.
Get it.
So all that happened. My show Sunday, the show at the Ottawa Tavern was awesome. And I'll give a quick anecdote or a quick synopsis of that. And I've got one more quick thing, and then we'll get on with the show. I know we're about right on time for our intro. The Ottawa Tavern, two of the bands had to drop off because they had COVID. They didn't even show up. They dropped off days prior. And I'm feeling a little stuffy, but I think I'm fine. I think I'm just fucking worn out. And but the local band, I won't name them, but we're a professional fucking band. Now, a lot of people don't know who we are, but we are pro. Like the way we operate, the way we run our ship, the way we fucking play, the way we record and release our records, our sound gear, we're just fucking professional. You know what I mean? We just are. So we fucking get there, and one of the local band was just like, "Hey, we're just gonna all use our kit, our drum kit." And I'm looking. He's like, "Yeah, I've got this Swing Star, this Tama Swing Star or some kit," and he's like, not a nice kit, not for like a real band, And then he goes, what kind of amp do you play? And I go, I've got a Marshall 412 JCM 900 I'm using. And he goes, well, we have a 212 already up on stage, so you can just jack into that. And I'm like, and they're like, well, you guys are gonna play early. Like, well, there's an acoustic guy playing, and then you guys are gonna play. And then your friend's Pummel will play, and then we're shutting things down. The guy's telling us. And he's just fucking telling us what's going to happen. And we're 4.5 hours from home with all of our gear. And I'm just like, I was like, well, we're going to go in and take a look. We go in, we take a look. And we're pretty agreeable. I'm not agreeable to using their shit. But, like, if Jim brings in his snare drum, he brings in his cymbals, his hi-hats, his kick pedal. We're miking everything. It's a nice venue. I mean, it's a tavern, but it's still they got 2 subs. They mic everything. Got our legit sound guy there. Maybe the kit will sound all right. Jim walks up to the drum kit that's set up on the stage. He hits the kick like 3 times, and he goes, "I'm not using this thing." It just sounded fucking terrible. So then, we had already talked with the sound guy, and the sound guy was like, "Oh, we're just going to keep the bass kit every drummer's gonna just replace they call it breakables. We're just gonna put the breakables up, and then I'll leave the mics on it all night. It'll make changeover quicker. And I'm thinking there were supposed to be 4 bands on this bill, or maybe even 5. Now there's just 3. What the fuck is the hurry now? Like, we have more time than we planned on having. So why do we have to use this shit and change over quick when we want to at least sound good? The purpose of us being here isn't just to fucking take a break from being at home. It's to fucking play and impress people and sell some shit. So we told the sound guy after Jim we're going to use our kit, you know, and then we set everything up. And then one of the nice parts of like being second on a bill like that is the first guy's acoustic, which means we had a lot of runway to sound check and make sure our shit sounded good, you know. And he plays acoustic. The place packs in a little bit. It's not packed, but it's busy. And we fucking go in and we do our thing. And every single member from that band was like, whoa, you guys are fucking amazing. And then they're like, oh, you're on our list now. I'm gonna be listening to you guys. Like, that was like the response. And it's like, you don't have to swing your big dick around and say we're the shit because we're locals. Like, you could have been cool with us and be like, hey, do you want to use our stuff? You guys drove a long ways. You know, I'm not trying to be an asshole here by saying this. It's just like,
yeah,
you could have been polite and not presume that you had better gear and you were a better band than us. But we did. We played and we just kicked ass. And like, yeah, everyone was loving it. It was successful. And I don't mean to sound pretentious, but geez, man, like, I've been doing this since I've been 15 and I'm 43 now. Like, we know how to sound good. And when we get mic'd up properly, it's like when the Flood gets mic'd up, you know, like, it just makes everything better, you know, and we sounded like a legit band. So it was a good time. The only other thing I wanted to add, and Jake, this is probably news for you, but you're going to think it's cool as shit. And the listeners might know, well, let me do it the way that I should do it. So Nate, our drummer for the Flood, is involved in like Tool and Die, and somehow he met some Nashville guy, right? He met some Nashville dude. And Nate came up to me and he goes, yo, man, he goes, I'm talking to this guy from Nashville. He gave me his address. I'd like to send him a record. Can I get a record? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Whatever, take one. Nate takes matters into his own hands. He sends it off. And time passes, and then he gets an email back from this guy. And I get an email from Nate. Hey, Fred, what's your email address? He should have it, but he didn't. But he sends me, this guy listened to our record, and he sent like 7 paragraphs or so back. And it, like, some of the things that he said on here, just saying, like, it's really nice to hold an album cover again, listen to an album the way it was meant to be arranged. He compared my voice to Tom Waits and Leonard Cohen, which is like huge praise. And he's like, he's like, these are some of my favorite singers of all time. Quoted some of my lyrics, you know, and just went on and on. Talked about how the band was locked in, how the recording felt real and raw, and like the songs felt like there was purpose behind them. They weren't overproduced. And then, you know, was just quoting more lyrics and compared Nate's drumming to a guy named Kenny Malone, who's like kind of a famous drummer. And it was just, the thing he said about Kenny was that, like, Kenny was one of the only drummers he had ever played with that would like ask for a lyric sheet before he went into the drum booth so he could drum to like the syncopation of the vocals and stuff and understand, like, play off the words, which I think is really interesting. And then he said he was really surprised by the album. And by that, he's not saying that he thought it was going to suck, but just meaning that, like, you know, he didn't go out looking for the record and he just met Nate by random. And then now he has the record, and he said, I hear you guys are recording another one. Make sure it finds its way to my doorstep. He goes, you have a new fan. Now, who this motherfucker is, this is fucking rad. His name is Tony Arata, A-R-A-T-A. You may have heard of a country singer named Garth Brooks. Tony Arata wrote the song The Dance by Garth Brooks. Garth's #1 fucking Billboard hit. And he had all this fucking awesome shit to say about our record, and he had no,
that's awesome.
And he had no business. He didn't have to, And he's like, I'm actually a really big fan of you guys. Like, I really like this record a lot. And it's like, holy shit.
That's rad.
Yeah, this is a dude that, like, no fucking joke, is probably still living off the fucking royalties of this song that he wrote for Garth Brooks that made Garth Brooks famous. Arguably, the song that started Garth Brooks' career. I mean, he did later go on to do Friends in Low Places, and then he did, that was the 1-2 punch. The Dance was the first album the first song on that Garth Brooks came out with that got people listening. And then Friends in Low Places came out afterwards. But Tony wrote The Dance, so he's almost solely responsible for Garth Brooks' success. And had all this beautiful shit to say about our record, which is fucking dope. I mean, who can say that? Like, good work, Jake. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
I feel like the bass really carries that album.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't say anything about the bass, but I mean, like, it's
probably because there's nothing to say about it.
But he didn't say it sucked or it was off or anything.
It's literally just serviceable because I'm not a bass player.
It's just kind of wild to think about it. And if you listen to that song, The Dance, it's absolutely one of the most heartbreaking songs you'll ever hear. So it's no wonder this album resonates with him. It's just so depressing. You know what I mean? It like just strikes at the album's not depressing, but it pulls at something. You know what I mean? That was the intent. And geez, what a nice gift, to have that. Even if we don't get all of the attention we would like to have. Very nice to know. Now, if only we could have Tony reach out to Garth and be like, "Yo, you got to bring these guys out. They got a couple songs." Surprisingly, Tony said his favorite song on the record is "It Haunts You." He said it just
really,
yeah. He said it just has something to it, and he loves the line like I've been going, but I ain't gone. He was like, "Man, that's such a good line." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, it is, dude." So
that's rad.
It's such a weird. It's just a weird like. It's a weird flex to be like, oh yeah, the guy who wrote that song by Garth Brooks, The Dance, likes our band. Like, that's a weird thing to say. It's so deep and minuscule, but like, it actually has clout, which is cool. You know what I mean? So, anyways.
Yeah, it's cool that like he made comments that let you know that he actually paid attention when he was listening to the album.
He was quoting lyrics, cool. And there's not a lyric sheet with the record, so he listened to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
cool. That's awesome.
It is fucking awesome. So cool. I don't think many people in this area can say they've gotten any kind of recognition like that. Even though it'll be one of those things. It's just, it'll just not a chip on your shoulder thing, but it'll just be a quiet praise that we get to enjoy. You know what I mean? From somebody respectable.
That should motivate you to freaking get the recording shit out.
Yeah, that's what I told Nate. I said this winter we're going to start album 2. We have to. We got so many bangers coming up. But let's get on with video game news. So we are about 39 minutes into the podcast. The first thing we usually talk about is games that we're playing. And this episode's not going to be any different. But I hope you guys were able to endure that conversation. A lot of good stuff. Darkest Dungeon 2. I have beaten 2 bosses still. I'm working on the 3rd. Having trouble. But I did buy a game. And I don't even know why. It's super massive. I had to do it. A lot of reviews all over the place on this game. Pretty typical. PushSquare gave it a 5. Other places, like OpenCritic, has it higher at like 7.5, 8. Some people have said it's their best game since Until Dawn. But I picked up the casting of Frank Stone. I don't have. I had a $20 gift card also. Let me say, from my Stars account, and I don't mind spending hard-earned money on Space Marines or Astrobot. I forgot about this game, and we've been experiencing exceptionally chilly weather in this area. So I've been feeling the tickle of fall a little bit, and I was like, I want to get this game, and it's a game you're not going to have to really think about, but. The reviews for this game seem to be all over the place, and I don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest. I'm just going out on a limb a little bit.
PushSquare gave it a 5. That's interesting.
Yeah, IGN gave it a 2.5 out of 5. But audience reviews, it's Supermassive's best entry since Until Dawn. Of course, interactive films are niche games, but this one is a delight for fans of the genre. Supermassive is enhanced gameplay. It's just like, if I like the other shit, I'm probably going to really enjoy this.
Yeah, if you're a Supermassive fan, you'll probably like it. I mean, I'd have to watch some reviews or read some reviews and see specifically what these reviewers have a problem with. I mean, I haven't seen a game in this genre get a good score in a while from anybody. So I don't know, because even The Quarry didn't score that well.
Google users give it an 81% right now on Google users, but I don't know how easy that is to hack.
Yeah. Interesting. Have you played it or you just bought it?
No, it downloaded last night. I haven't. I mean, I'm probably going to play Space Marines first. I just wanted to support Supermassive really bad because I'm kind of concerned about them, especially with the passing of Tony Pankhurst. Not that he's like a part of, and they have that other game coming out, whatever that one's going to be. We talked about last episode. I can't remember what Project something or whatever. I don't fucking know, man. There hasn't been a whole lot of push for this game, though. The casting of Frank Stone. You know what I mean?
To be honest with you, I haven't seen anything about it since it was revealed in that one State of Play or whenever that was.
Yeah. Open Critic, it's got a 73 average or a 72 average, but only a 53 from critics. 6 Axis gave it an 8 out of 10. PlayStation Universe, 7 out of 10. I don't know, 85 out of 100 from Go Connected. I don't know what that is. I just like you said, like I won't know unless I play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I had that $20 sitting there, and I was just like, I'm just gonna see what this is about.
Sure.
So I picked it up.
Why the heck not?
Yeah. Well, I mean money, but like I had the money. I had $20, and I think it was like $50, maybe $49.99. It was pretty. The price point was pretty cheap. Might have been $59.99, but it was relatively pretty damn cheap considering. So they just didn't put a lot of PR behind it. But I don't know. Anyways, those are the two from me. Jake, what about you?
So have I played anything else? I've been so busy I haven't hardly played anything, but when I have been playing games, I've been playing Crisis Core. I got to like the point of no return in that game, so I'm pretty close to the end. I've been just I've spent like the last few days literally just doing these missions where it's like when you go to a save point, you can press triangle and it just brings up a list of side missions, and all these missions are super short, but you get like items and level up your character and stuff by doing them. They're really like these really like compact, truncated experience. They're very obviously things that work well on a handheld, but I've just been like sitting down and I'll play like 10 of them, and then I'll like save and quit for the day because it's you get to the point of no return and it's like, do I need any of these missions? Like, am I going to be underleveled if I don't do these missions? So I did a bunch of them, and then finally I got to the point where I was just like, fuck it. I just want to move on. And so I just got to the point of no return, probably in the next day or two, I'm going to finish that just in time for Space Marine to come out on Tuesday. And then I'll be hopping into that. Nothing new to say. I still really like it. I still think that it's pretty good. Once you get over some of the more antiquated sort of video gamey things that I mentioned in the past.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're interested in Final Fantasy VII, I say play it because it's definitely adds to the experience.
Yeah. Cool. Update your games we're playing section on the notes so I don't have to do it. Please.
Okay.
Let's get into news. And every episode we talk about news, different things going on in the PlayStation universe. We're not going to be covering every freaking news point here. There was a lot, and there's a lot to go over, and it's late already. It's 8 o'clock at night. So just be thankful that this is a labor of love, and we're doing it for you guys. We don't want you guys to miss out on any episodes. But I tend to like generally where PushSquare falls on reviews. I think the review team's pretty solid. And just for anybody curious, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines 2 got a 9 out of 10 on PushSquare. But
Nice.
I didn't read it, but the headline had something to do with it being like an amazing co-op experience. So that might be a little alarming for you, Jake. I really think we just need to go duo and play this thing and enjoy it together. But I know that's not your style because you'll feel rushed and you won't be able to fully enjoy it. But if we both don't want to rush, we could probably both just take it sleazy and enjoy it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know how. I think it depends on the game mechanics and how it actually works. We're gonna find out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to jumping on and playing a little bit with you, but I'm gonna start out just kind of trying to play it by myself like I would normally. And then, if we want to play it a little bit together, we can, or what have you. I just want to make sure that I'm able to absorb it properly, and I'm not distracted by the co-op nature of it.
Do you know what we need to do? We need to do a takeaway video on this, but do it like you just save some screenshot. I'll save. Just make sure you save it in the right format, the MP4 or whatever. However we do it, and then we'll save them, and then we'll do the most incredible voiceover work. It's like, we've been waiting for this game for so long, and then you can jump in, be like, look at the action, like a fucking 80s commercial or something. It'd be Space Marines 2.
Yeah.
Endorsed by PS. This is awesome. It'd be so fucking funny.
Up next, Richard 2.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna happen. I mean, we made this happen. Richard 2's gonna happen. Someone's gonna buy that fucking.
I don't know if Richard is as widely loved as Space Marine, but that would be awesome.
Richard was a good.
Dude, I've been. This is a little bit of a non sequitur. I am really excited about Space Marine, just so you know. But I have occasionally been looking for the PC adapter for PSVR 2. It is impossible to buy. You literally can't buy it. Ever since the day it came out, you can't buy it. I do not know how people have this. Everywhere I look, it's either out of stock or you can buy a used version of it, or like Newegg has it, but it's $85, which is more it's $25 more than its MSRP. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with this thing, because I was thinking, man, I'd like to get one so I could play Half-Life Alyx, and I keep looking for them. I can't find one, and I don't want to spend all this extra money on one.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Space Marine 2 is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's got like an 85 on OpenCritic, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
that's better than the original scored.
I feel like as time goes on, people are more harsh towards video games. So the fact that it's netting an 85 on OpenCritic is awesome. Would you agree with that? That like, as more games are released, the bar continuously just gets set higher and higher, and people become more critical. I think so.
Yes and no. I feel like
It can't
we're
be
getting
both.
more.
It's either it is or it isn't.
I feel like in certain genres and certain instances, I think that you are correct. But I think we're also at the same time getting more fucking tens than ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for example, let me just give you an example here. OpenCritic.com. I'm going to search for Tears of the Kingdom. All right? Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has a fucking 96 on Metacritic. This game runs like garbage. And I fully think that like what the game is doing, the creative nature of the way you can build structures and stuff is very cool. It's very innovative. Everything is great. But there are so many antiquated components to the game, and it runs so poorly that like I do not believe this. So I do believe what you're saying, that people get jaded about certain things. Like we were talking about the casting of Frank Stone earlier. I think people are just over games like that, and so they're just scoring them badly.
Well, it used to be first-person
really
shooters, right? Everyone's doing first-person shooters, and then it was like everybody's doing like fucking third-person action, and then.
But at the same time, on the flip side of it, it's like, oh, this freaking Legend of Zelda. I honestly almost feel like, oh, just because it's the Legend of Zelda, it's a fucking 96.
Yeah.
Like so it's. I do generally agree with you whenever we're talking about games that are jaded, but I think that people are genuinely excited for Space Marine. So,
well, I know I am.
I don't know. I would say that that's probably a pretty fair score, and I think that even if it's not artificially low, that's still a great score. That's still better than the original scored. And that's still an exciting prospect for this game that we're both excited about.
I'm stoked for it. And to your point, I think that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's easy to get swooped up in the hype train and be like, oh man, everyone's going crazy about this game. It must be awesome. And you play like, oh yeah, it's fucking great, because you're just feeding off each other's energy, right? And then just inherently just people's opinion and positive reactions. That works the opposite way also. You know, if some people have some bad experiences, that can snowball into like a really negative experience for the overall group. But I don't know, man. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. I'm excited for the game. So the next news point is really interesting. We didn't really talk a whole lot about this game last episode. We did a little bit. Like you mentioned, the art design wasn't really there for you, but like I didn't mind it. But Concord is getting shelved. It's been 2 weeks since the game came out, and Sony put out a statement. And if I go to the blog.playstation.com, it says an important update on Concord. I'm going to read this real quick. This is the first time I can remember that Sony had a first-party game fucking tank. It doesn't mean that it's gone forever, but this is what they say on the this is from the game director at Firewalk. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who's joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that the other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, this time, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th. We're recording this September 4th. This news article comes out September 3rd. 3 days after this news article comes out, they're just taking the game offline. They said they're going to explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. Customers who purchased from other digital storefronts will also be refunded. More information about refunds from Steam and Epic can be found below. And they go into details. And it says, once refunded, players will no longer have access to the game. We'll keep you updated. And thank you again to all the free gunners who joined us in the Concord Galaxy. When did Concord release?
I think it was August 26th or 23rd or something like that.
August 23rd. So,
literally 2 weeks, yeah.
The game was out for 12 days from the release to the news of its cancellation, and then they're canceling it 3 days after the announcement that they're canceling it. So 2 weeks. It took 12 days for them to make the decision they were going to just refund everybody. Is how fucking bad this game did.
That's incredible.
I don't understand what the fuck. Like, they must just know that it's not worth supporting, obviously, and they don't want to sink more money into it. What happens to Firewalk? What happens to... Clearly, that's the next announcement. All these people are going to lose their fucking jobs. 100%. What other path forward is it? Make it free to play?
Unless they're going to try to do like a Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn kind of thing where they're literally going to go back to the drawing board, rebuild this game, and re-release it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make it free to play.
Morph it into something else. If they make it free to play, that's fine, but they'll have to support it. So it doesn't make sense for them to support a free to play game if people aren't playing it because they won't have any money and they'll just be wasting it all.
But they'd
be better off closing the studio.
Couldn't part of the reason no one's playing it is because it wasn't free to play to begin with?
I don't think that made as much of an impact as that people just weren't interested in the dumb fucking characters they came up with.
Do you think it's all the characters?
It's the character. I think it's just the visuals, the characters, I don't know, man. It's just nothing about it seems interesting. As far as I understand, people they don't even like the little vignettes that they're making.
It's like so generic or something.
Like it's a freaking Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff. And obviously, I'm generalizing and simplifying. It's probably more than that. I know people like the gameplay, but my understanding is that people just they're not interested in this. They're apathetic about it. It's almost worse than them hating it. Because if they hated it, they'd probably sell a lot more just in hate sales.
How's the
people
finals
just being
doing
interested
these
in
days?
It? That's a great question. I don't know.
That was an awesome game. I loved playing the finals. I wonder what the player count is on the finals.
I can find out real quick.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm actually curious about that because I really liked that game. I thought it was really good. It was really fucking creative. It was done so tastefully. It was like one of the few games where like your characters just look like regular fucking people. And then like I think you could get upgrades and stuff for them, but I don't know.
Let's see here. Charts. Oh, dude. 24-hour peak, 13,000 people.
Is that good?
So... is it not as high? Okay, so 9 months ago, it was the all-time high, and it was almost 250,000 people concurrent.
Yeah.
But, dude, it's a free-to-play game. If it's rocking like a constant 13,000 24-hour peak, I'd say that's pretty...
That'll generate income over time.
That's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, especially if they keep updating it or they have some big fucking expansion that might bring people back in or whatever. I don't think that's anything to raise your nose about.
Yeah.
I mean, Concord was like literally 100.
Yeah.
So,
but Concord was also a PlayStation IP.
Well, and remember, the finals, that was just Steam as well. I'm sure there's a ton of people playing on PlayStation and fucking Xbox too. So
the finals is a good fucking game. I'll stand by that. I haven't been in there in a while, but I really, really liked it. All right.
So that's freaking crazy about Concord. I don't know really what they can do. I mean, they're either going to have to just close it down and make a new game, shut down that studio, or they're going to have to retool it in such a mega fashion and re-release it and they're going to have to find a way to make a splash, because people, as soon as they see Concord, they're going to be skeptical.
Yeah.
So it almost isn't even worth it for them to reuse the license. I don't know, man. Maybe they can take the bones of the game, the gameplay that people really like, put a new skin on it, tweak it, call it something else, maybe make it a little bit more interesting and stand out a little bit more visually. And that would be their new strategy. I don't know, man.
The free to play shit's just getting, or not the free to play, but these like fucking hero shooter things. I don't know. I know there can be money made. I mean, I talked about that meme the other day about how the one thing in World of Warcraft made more money than StarCraft 2 altogether.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a reason why they're chasing that carrot, but it's no different than you and I going to a lottery machine and buying scratch off tickets. Like, your chances of fucking nailing it are very slim. So
yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, you got to be airtight.
Yeah. All right. Next news point: Hogwarts 2, Hogwarts Legacy 2, is happening. Warner Brothers has indicated that this game is one of its biggest priorities over the next few years, and that should come as no surprise to anybody because the first one sold fucking gangbusters. So
that's stoked. I mean, dude, I loved the first one, so I'm all about the second one when it comes out, and I know Sarah will be super excited.
Well, I just hope they put the right amount of time into it, and don't rush it out the door.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to take the formula they have and just expand upon it.
Yeah. All right.
That would be totally fine.
Yeah, that's one news point. Next news point is that Fairgames, according to internal chatter from PushSquare, they're saying that it's being received pretty well. People who get a little bit of hands-on with this game, they're saying it's actually got some teeth to it. I don't know much about it. Couldn't begin to tell you.
Who knows what that really means? We haven't seen the gameplay at all. It's literally just that cinematic trailer that we saw. So, but I'm hoping that they learned something from this Concord thing and they don't trip out the gate with this one too, because that's really going to be a black stain on their initiative.
Dance. They're like, well, all the people that we were worried we were going to lose to Concord, we were going to get sucked into that fucking thing. They're not into it. So now we have a chance.
Dude, there could very well be a reality where Fairgames does half decent and a lot of the Concord staff just fucking supports Fairgames.
That's possible.
And then they peel off like the key talent to maybe head a new project or something, rather than kill the studio. I don't know, but that's cool, man. I don't, these free to play and service based games are not for me, but I always want to see them do well.
Yeah.
I want to see something other than fucking Fortnite.
Well, Helldivers did good for
Legends.
a while.
And yeah, I mean, but I just want to see something other than the four biggest games, which would be, I guess, Fortnite, Apex, Call of Duty, and Grand Theft Auto Online. Like, something else make a splash in this space just to make things interesting, even though I'm not really into them.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got some PS Plus games announced for the month of September. And without jawing off too much about them, we got some nice ones. We know that Harry Potter Quidditch Champions just came out. That is coming to us for free. And this game actually looks all right. It's an online play. To me, it reminds me of, it won't do as good as that game did, but what was that one where you're in the cars and you kick the ball around the field? Jake?
What? Oh, you're talking about Rocket League.
Yeah, it looked like a Rocket League kind of game to me. Anyways, MLB The Show 24 is coming our way, which I'm stoked about. You guys know I like my baseball. And then I also love Little Nightmares, and Little Nightmares 2 is coming to us. So I don't think we talked about this last week. If we did, sorry for the redundant news. But all those are great picks. We did talk about Little Nightmares 3, and Little Nightmares 2 was brought up. But for those interested in the Little Nightmares series, Little Nightmares 2 is pretty good. It's a fun game. I recommend it. Jake, are you going to try your hand at the old Quidditch Champions? Get some PlayStation
I don't
Stars
know, man.
points?
This game doesn't really look that interesting to me. I mean, if Sarah has an interest in it, I might download it.
You should
just to see.
Sorry, I don't mean to just download it. Sign up on the PlayStation Stars loyalty program for like new games. You click start, and then you'll get 50 coins just by playing it.
Yeah, I should do that.
Why wouldn't you?
Not a bad idea. Play some Quidditch. It could be fun as fuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look that up on OpenCritic.
It just
Quidditch
came out.
Champions.
Just came out. All right.
I don't even know how to fucking spell Quidditch Champions. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions.
It's so fucking late, dude. I am so damn tired right now.
Well, wrap it up, dog. I'm hungry.
Well, I'm trying, man. Let's keep moving. All right. Ballistic Moon, the studio who was working on the Until Dawn remake. They have unfortunately laid off some employees before the game launch. This seems like status quo, but they're doing this to scale down the studio to protect the future of the studio. So usually when you get close to the release of a game, some studios will let some people go, people who are contracted instead of actually being employees. I don't know. I don't think you can lay off contractors. But a lot of these folks probably knew this was coming. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the early sales are bad. I know that the game's priced at $60, I think, which I think is a little high. I think 50 would be good. I'd like to see some like $34.99s or some $44.99s on the store. You know, not quite a $50 game, but also not quite a $30 or a $40 game. Give me a 40, 30, 40, not $44.99. Give me one of those. I would
not?
Take it. Any input on that, Jake? I mean, I know we both played Until Dawn. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of weird. I don't know why. Like, because they don't even, maybe they're basing it on pre-order numbers or something. I don't know why the studio is being laid off, but that sucks for them. Until Dawn was great, and it sounds like this remake or whatever you're calling it is going to be a little bit more extensive than just a up-res.
Well, that's the rumor.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm probably not going to play it.
I don't think it's going to be that much more extensive. I just think it's a marketing tool. But.
Yeah. Maybe if it comes out on Plus or something, I'll replay the game, but I just don't have much interest, to be honest with you.
That's fair. Let's do a quick quiz. We got 10 questions. We'll do a quick quiz. We'll blow through this, and we got one more news point. We'll close things off for the listeners. We're over an hour into the show. Every episode when we can, we try to do a PlayStation quiz. These quizzes can be found on PushSquare.com. We make no illusions that we come up with these questions ourselves. So question number 1. What year did Sony acquire Naughty Dog as it went on to develop the first Jak and Daxter game? 2003, 2001, 99, or 97? I'm going to go 01.
Well, Jak and Daxter was a PS2 game, so what does that tell you?
01?
Sure.
You think?
I don't know it for sure, but 2001 would be the right ballpark.
Correct. Got it.
Nice.
Absurd PS5 indie, Thank Goodness You're Here, is set in a fictional English village. What is it called? Arsington, Barnsworth, Tinkleham, or Gumble? Fuck if I know, man. Just pick one.
Just fucking guess, because I have this is one of those things where it's like, if you didn't play the game, you don't know. So, and I haven't played this game. I've heard it's good, but I've not played it. There's no way
it's Arsington or Tinkleham. It's either Gumble or Barnsworth.
I don't know, man. I was thinking maybe Barnsworth.
Let's go Barnsworth.
But it could be Tinkleham.
Barnsworth sounds like Farnsworth. Barnsworth. Yes, correct.
Oh, nice.
What feature did Persona 3 Portable introduce that previous versions didn't have? A new game plus mode, over 100 new personas, the ability to skip all combat, or the option to play as a female protagonist?
Even though I have not played this game, I'm pretty sure it's the option to play as a female protagonist.
All right, I'm going to click it. Correct.
Okay.
Question 4 of 10. Which Dark Souls game has the highest Metacritic score on PS4? Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, Dark Souls 3, or Dark Souls Remastered? Or they all have the same score?
That's not true. Dark Souls 2, I think, is universally panned. Like, people don't really like it. So I'm going to say Dark Souls 3, probably.
All right, let's do it.
Because the first
Correct.
one, okay. Because I doubt the first one was the best.
Well, that's 4 out of 10. Fifth question. We're halfway through almost. Black Myth Wukong developer Game Science is based in which country? Taiwan, China, Japan, or South Korea?
China.
Correct. Question 6 of 10. In Metal Gear Solid on the PS1, which button do you need to press in order to withstand Ocelot's torture? Triangle, circle, square, or R1?
I don't remember this.
It's probably R1, some weird fucking button.
I'm going to say circle.
I'll go
because a lot of Japanese games used circle as like an affirmative or like a.
We'll go circle.
Yeah.
Correct. Good job, Jake. Question 7 of 10. What kind of game was Remember Me on the PS3? Was it a first-person shooter, open world adventure, puzzle platformer, action? It was action adventure, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Correct. Who is this character from Dead or Alive 5? It's just a dude with his shirt off who has like brownish hair, his gauntlets on his arms. Is it Jan Lee, Brad Wong, Hayate, or Bayman? Do you have any idea?
It just looks like a fucking guy. I don't know.
It's probably Bayman.
Like, he has no distinguishing features.
Hayate.
It's not.
It's not Brad
like
Wong.
Maybe it's Jan Lee. He's got like some kind of a martial arts kind of stance to him.
We always get a fucked up question like this. It throws us off. It's not Bayman. That sounds like a boss. It's not Brad. It's either Jan Lee or Hayate. And usually there's two words to their names. I'm going to go Jan Lee. Like Bruce Lee or something? You good with that?
Yeah. Go with it.
Correct.
Nice.
Fucking killed it. Which of these Sony published games didn't receive its own limited edition PS4 Pro console? God of War 2018, Death Stranding, Gran Turismo Sport, or Ghost of Tsushima?
Dude, I don't know. I'm pretty sure God of War and Death Stranding both had consoles, but I don't know about the other two.
Probably Gran Turismo Sport.
You think? Dude, Ghost of Tsushima came out like literally 3 months before PlayStation 5 launched.
Yeah, but like Gran Turismo Sport, what Gran Turismo is that?
The one before 7, which is what we got now.
So 6?
So it is, I guess, ostensibly 6, yeah.
That's a... I know
Gran
Death
Turismo's
Stranding got its own PS4. Did it?
Yeah, and so I'm pretty sure God of War did as well.
2018 God of War?
Yeah, because it was like that like gold star design or whatever. I'm trying to think of it.
It's probably Ghost of Tsushima.
You think?
And I think it got one.
Go with it.
I don't know. I think it got
Go with it.
All right. Correct. Shit.
Just now that we've answered that question, I'm going to look up God of War PS4 Pro. Yeah, it was like this two-tone fucking, had all these Norse symbols on it. It was cool as shit looking.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, continue.
Jake, this is it for all the money. This is a 10 out of 10 if we get this right. How many years after its launch in 2004 did Sony stop producing the PlayStation Portable? 12 years, 10 years, 7 years, or 5 years? Stop producing it.
I'm going to say 10 years.
Ooh.
Dude, it was still in the stores when Vita was out. And Vita came out in 2012. Or 2013, I guess, here. In January or whatever it was.
We should put it at 7 years, all the leftover copies.
Dude, no, if it came out in 2004 and it was still on the shelves.
So they quit making it in 2011.
Dude,
You think 10 years?
I think 10 years, man.
All right.
It was on the shelves for a long time.
All the fucking gold. Correct. 10 out of 10. This is the second time, I think, maybe the third time in PS's Awesome Podcast history. Holy shit. 6% of users got a 10 out of 10. It's you and me, Jake.
Nice.
Divide that in half. So 3%.
Getting pretty good at guessing.
No, we did pretty good there. All right. So I'm proud of us. Last, before we leave, someone had access to the box art of the PlayStation Pro. And they were afraid of breaking copyright rules or like getting stricken or something. So they hand drew what the PlayStation Pro looked like, and it's been circulating the internet, which is such a fucking weird move. But I don't have anything to say about it. Jake, unfortunately, it still has the vaginal opening. So.
It seems a little bit more subdued, though. Like, the collar isn't quite as popped. But we won't know until we see the real thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It looks like a variant on the refresh of the PS5, though. It doesn't look anything special. Yeah, I don't know. It looks fine.
It looks like a PS5, dude. All right, so that's all I got. I'm not going to talk new games. I couldn't find new games on the PushSquare site. You guys know where to find them. Go to the PlayStation Network. Get on there. Look at new games releasing. That'll show you. We know the Quidditch game came out. I'm sure some other games came out. But most importantly, the casting of Frank Stone came out. Most importantly, though, is Space Marines and Astrobot coming right up around a bend. So keep your eyes peeled for those two games. Jake and I will surely be purchasing them and trying them out. Thank you for listening to this episode of 341 of PS This Is Awesome. We are a PlayStation podcast. We'll be back next week talking more video games for everybody and shedding a little more illumination on our personal lives at the beginning of every show. So thanks for tuning in. Jake, do you have anything you'd like to say before we call it a day?
I bought this new, for anyone out there that's into bourbon, I bought this whiskey called Travelers or something like that because it was recommended to me. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to buy. And this guy at the liquor store recommended it to me. And apparently this was a whiskey that was developed by Chris Stapleton.
I've heard of this.
And it's actually pretty good. I'm actually shocked at how good it is. I thought, because I bought it, and then when I got it home, I saw that his name was on it, and I was like, fuck. Like, this is probably just going to be some BS.
You've been duped.
But it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. So any whiskey drinkers out there, if you want to try out the Chris Stapleton Travelers bourbon, it's actually pretty good, and it's reasonably priced at like, I don't know, $35 or something. So, I don't know, go for it. Other than that, I don't have any other comments. I need to go check on my pool.
What are you doing, draining it?
No, I'm adding water to it.
Why?
Because it's the water's gotten so low from evaporation that it's below the skimmer, and it's like freaking the pump is sucking dry and all kinds of shit, so I have to keep adding water to it. But so I gotta go check on that. But I have my pool takes forever to fill up because it's 20,000 gallons. So even raising it an inch takes like an hour. But anywho, that's it. I'm gonna get some food.
I had some Applejack today, whiskey wise.
Yeah.
When I played Sunday, I played at this distillery. I'll give them a shout out real quick. In Westfield, New York, called 5 and 20. 5 FIVE and spelled out, and then the number 20 distillery. I got that in there, just award-winning bourbon. The way they handle things up there is I get paid and they give me a gift card. So I just used the gift card and bought all kinds of shit. So it was nice. So I'm stocked up for a little bit. But I tried the Applejack, better than the first time I had it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not really a big fan of flavored whiskeys. Like, they were trying to sell me on some blackberry whiskey or something. And I was like, 'cause apparently it's like this Bird Dog blackberry is like a good alternative to that Crown blackberry that's been selling out everywhere. And I was just like, I'm not really into it. And they had like some like Dude, they have a million different flavors of whiskey like that. But
Well,
yeah, I've never had any of 5 and 20 stuff, so
it's
I don't
good.
know what it's
The
like.
Applejack actually isn't even apple flavored. It's just whiskey made from apples. It's not flavored to be apple tasting.
Whiskey,
Look it up.
I guess could be one of the ingredients, but it can't be fully made from apples. 'Cause it wouldn't be
Applejack
whiskey.
5, and I don't know as much about whiskey as you do, but let me look. Applejack is spade. Oh, spade. Applejack. This is our take on what is said to be the first liquor distilled in the New World. This spirit is made from local New York apple cider, which is fermented, distilled, aged in our used whiskey barrels. After aging, we add fresh apple cider. I guess they do. Maybe a haze in
So
the
this
bottle.
is just distilled apple cider
Oh.
and aged in whiskey barrels.
So
That's
it's not even a
interesting.
whiskey
So
then.
it's not whiskey.
No, it's
yeah.
not. But their regular is. Whatever their bourbon is, it's great. They have a straight rye and then they have a straight bourbon. Their bourbon's fantastic.
Dude, I've gained a really great appreciation for rye whiskey. I really like
Oh,
it. It's
really?
not for everyone because
Yeah.
it's very spicy
Yeah.
and weird, but probably because I'm a big fan of the Manhattan, which is made with rye. But
Yeah.
interesting.
So if you want to support a business out of New York that supports me, you can check out 5 and 20. It's not an endorsement. I'm just saying, if you like this kind of thing, they have some good stuff. All right. That's about all I got.
Yeah.
Jake, let's wrap it up. So you can tune in next week. This has been episode 341. PS is awesome. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. We'll be back next week. And if you haven't, go give us a buck. Join our Patreon. Let me send you a sticker, please. I'm begging you. And thank you. So like X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, XCOM, and X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. P.S. This is awesome.
This is awesome.